Well, a Bible church is a non-denominational church that is, it's in line with the historic apostolic Christian faith. So it's not like it has a new or different kind of teaching than you would find in other Protestant denominations. In fact, if you take all the Protestant denominations, take their core teaching, you find there's absolutely a lot in common.
You know, when you think about First Bible Church, it's all God's idea. He just had to maneuver some individuals who were unimportant to do what he wanted to do, you know, and to use them. We realized that we were just not getting what we needed. You know, we were hungry for the Word. And so we started a Bible study in our office on Sunday afternoon. And we had people come into that. And we would hear people say as they would leave, you know, wouldn't it be great if you got teaching like this in the church? Wayne and Kitty Goody were home on leave, and they attended that Bible study on Sunday afternoon. And they were getting ready to go back to Guatemala. And they visited John in his office one morning before they left. And they told him that they had been praying for a Bible teaching church in Decatur. And they said, you know, we think the time is now, and we think you all are the couple who would do this. We had 2 Presbyterian couples, 2 Methodist couples, and 2 Baptist church couples were made up the 6 couples in there. And so you see how God maneuvered us, as unimportant as we were, to put us in a place where we were usable for him. So that's actually how it got started.
The founding pastor, the first pastor, was a guy by the name of Hampton Keithley. He graduated from Texas A&M University and then Dallas Seminary. All of the senior pastors of First Bible Church have been graduates of Dallas Theological Seminary. And Dallas was one of those institutions that arose during the 20s that I mentioned to you earlier in response to a lot of the theological liberalism that were in the mainline churches. And the commitment of Dallas Seminary was to train men to be sound expositors of Scripture. So everybody that came out of Dallas Seminary was trained that way. So all these pastors, Hampton Keithley, Bob Saran, Bob Barlow, and then James Rayford, who was James Rayford was there before I got here. So I'm the 5th pastor.
The way we got Steve's name was that we had Dr. Hannah come for a service. And my husband asked him, he says, John Hannah, do you know any a pastor that we could interview that might be suitable for First Bible Church? And he recommended Steve Bateman.
I didn't even get to meet him until he was brought up, only because I was out of town the weekend that he came to candidate. And my husband was a deacon at the time, and so they had invited all the deacons. Now, I did get to meet him when he came to preach his sermon, but when they came to introduce him to the leadership of the church, the elders and deacons at that time, I was out of town. And so my husband got to go to the dinner. He went to the dinner, and he met Pastor Steve, and Steve shared his testimony and shared his philosophy on ministry. And my husband that night, when we were talking on the phone, one of the comments he made, he said, he is a young man. And I said, really? I said, is he too young to lead a church into where are we going next? And he said, he is much wiser than his years. The biggest shakeup was bringing Bruce Ellsworth on staff. That was quite interesting.
There's one guy in Florida I thought was a good candidate, and he was not interested in coming to Alabama, but he said, but I play basketball every morning with another worship pastor here in town, and he might be interested. And I said, well, you mean a music guy who likes sports? Give me his name. So I said, I want to know who this is. So I called that guy, and that was Bruce Ellsworth.
it was interesting because the tie-in between Steve and Lori and Beth and I was that Steve grew up in Charlotte, North Carolina, and Beth's parents had a lot of roots in Charlotte, North Carolina, and her brother lived there, and so the summer when Steve started talking to me, we were going to go on vacation to Charlotte, and it just happened that they were going on vacation to Charlotte the same week that we were going on vacation to Charlotte. So we drove up there and decided we would meet and, you know, kind of just talk and see if there was anything. We were going to meet for dinner. So Steve picked out a restaurant, and we took off. We had just had Allie. Allie was really young, and so we left her with the grandparents, and then we took off and went to the restaurant. So we're sitting there in the parking lot waiting for them, and Steve and Lori pulled in, and I later found out that Steve said to Lori, "Oh no."
I told Lori, I said, "Hope that guy's not it, because look at his hair. It was long." After I came here in '92, and after a couple years, the Lord really blessed us with a lot of growth at the Caredale campus. But we went to 2 services at the Caredale campuses, and we filled both of those at the Caredale campus, and we filled both of those up. And we didn't have education space, and we didn't have parking space. So we're using the parking space in the Holloway's supermarket over there, using their parking lot on Sunday mornings. So we knew it was time, and the church family knew it was time for us to relocate to the Spring Avenue property. So we started a stewardship campaign. I remember we brought in an expert who kind of guided us through that process and told us what we could expect to raise in terms of pledges from the church family. But when everybody turned in their pledge card, it was far beyond what he told us we could expect. I mean, God really moved in the hearts of our people, made them want to be generous, and we were able to have a very successful stewardship campaign and then get over here rather quickly. So we started building the church in '96, moved in '97 here at Spring Avenue.
I remember the first time we had services in here after coming over from Caredale, thinking, "Man, this is huge," you know, I mean, because it was so much bigger and so much different, and we didn't even have the 2 wings on the sides. It was just you know, a rectangle at that point. We added those in when we did the field house and everything build, but it was a lot different. It was a whole new experience. Of course, we were back to like 2 services in here almost immediately because the growth was so exciting. I can't even remember if we ever just did 1 service in here. I think we may have had to immediately go to 2 services. That'd be interesting to find out on that.
So it grew. I mean, we grew out of curiosity. But again, once you have good teaching, those curious people that come, they may have come because they're wondering, but then they come because it's the truth. And so it did grow. Our church did grow. And then once we got into this building, at that time, we did not have what we now have as ABF wing, the field house, and the elementary wing. When we first built, it was just what's over on the office side, the preschool nursery wing, and the upstairs. And adults were upstairs, and youth was upstairs. And so they just flip-flopped on classrooms. And elementary, nursery through elementary was all downstairs. Now, within about 6 months, we were already having to change classrooms because of growth. And it continues even today. We still are changing classrooms. We're still growing, which is great.
Yeah, Paul Cheshire was a friend of mine from college days, actually. He and Hope both. I knew Hope before I knew Paul, in fact. And before they got married, we were all friends. And then they eventually ended up on the mission field in Papua New Guinea. And when I was being the pastor here, we were always looking out for good partners in ministry, missions partners. And so First Bible Church took them on and supported them for their ministry in Papua New Guinea. Then it was pretty clear that the Lord had closed the door in Papua New Guinea for them, and it was time for them to come back to the States. About that time, we really needed to add another associate pastor, another pastor to the church who could be our associate pastor and help me with a lot of the pastoral care of a growing church. And so Paul was available, and we brought him in to interview, and it was clear to everybody that he'd be a good fit here. So yeah, that's when he came on. After we brought Paul on initially to serve as the associate pastor, we also recognized soon after that our education ministry and discipleship ministry had grown to the point that we needed someone full-time on staff to oversee that. And so we wanted someone who was really committed to discipleship, who understood the concept of discipleship and Christian education. So we found, and this was the Lord just bringing him across our path, it was Vance Helms. And Vance had been on staff in a church in a similar kind of position, but what really attracted our attention was his ministry experience with Campus Crusade for Christ, his campus ministry, working with college, university students in discipleship. And that was the kind of person we wanted in that position. So after that interview, we recognized that he and Catherine would be a great fit at First Bible Church, and we added them. It wasn't too long after that the Lord put it on the hearts of Paul and Hope Cheshire to return to the mission field. So they left and took their family to Mexico, and so that left us with a position open of an associate pastor that we needed to fill. And we went back to Dallas Seminary again, and through placement, the placement office at Dallas, we came across the name of Jess Montegudo. And so that interview process told us that he was going to be a really good fit for what we needed in terms of pastoral care. Jess has brought a lot of steady, faithful caring to First Bible Church. I think many people will tell you that he's been there for them when they needed him. So that we brought Vance on, and then we brought Jess on, added him to the team, and then we brought Wayne along after Chris left, and then after Wayne helped us find Xander, and that's when we brought Xander on.
Vance is the education, discipleship, training the Sunday school teachers, ABF leaders, getting that material to them. Very, very organized in that. Paul is that person who is just out there with his just vibrant personality, and who is bringing those people to Vance to teach. So that it's that team effect of what are they doing and what they do. But that is one thing that I noticed just right off the bat. 2 different personalities, but yet working together as a team. And that's what makes it great. That's what makes it great to work here at First Bible Church, is that none of us are alike. None of us. We all have different tastes, but there's always something that we do like. And one of the main things we do like is getting that gospel out there to the people.
The way the Madison campus came about is that over the years we had noticed something happening just in terms of the change in North Alabama. Madison was growing, and that was noticeable. Just if you ever drove over there these last few years, you could tell that. But also, we saw the articles, we saw the demographic studies, we saw the trends, and in the sovereignty of God, the Lord was moving people from all over the nation, and in some cases from all over the world, to Madison, Alabama. If you look back over the last 2 years, we started the Madison campus in 2013 in late August, and so that was a successful launch. We started, like I said, with those 80 people. We did some advertising to let the community know what was happening, and there's just been it's been a steady, it hadn't been spectacular growth, but it's been a good, healthy, and steady growth, so that over a period of 2 years, it's more than doubled. The original 80 people went over there. Now we have 200 people over there.
Without that message right there, none of this is anything. This is just fun, you know? None of this is anything. But to know that everything that we're doing here, to go with that end result of having someone accept Christ, the baptisms that we have and how lives have changed from hearing the message of what Christ has done for us, that's the exciting part. Yeah, it's been fun watching go from Caradale to, you know, Spring Avenue and now over to Madison and now buying property over there. That's fun. But the end result, that's better. I mean, watching that life change because God and Jesus Christ has came into their life. That's the fun thing. That's the excitement. And that's what it's all about.